Okay, everybody, 10 Tampa Bay Chief Meteorologist Bobby Deskins here, 8:25 on our Monday evening. 180 mile per hour Hurricane Milton, Cat 5. Cat 5 starts at 157 and just goes up. There's no top end to a Cat 5. It's located 650 miles southwest of Tampa at this point. The pressure as of 8 o'clock is down to 897 millibars. That is very low. Extremely low. One of the top three. What do we have? Top two, top three in the Atlantic Basin for low pressure. Wilma was a little bit less than that. So we're slightly behind Wilma. This is probably the second lowest. That's an indication of just how strong. It's how low the pressure is. As an indication how strong the storm is. Now here's the deal. It should not have 180 mile per hour winds by the time it gets close to landfall. That's the good news. This will weaken just a little bit. Let's talk about it now. Let's go to on the satellite radar, and you can see that basically it's a small system right now, but the wind field will be picking up as it develops over the next 2 days, right before landfall. So it will have a little bit more of a wind field. That's a lot of wind right there now, but most of that's right around the immediate center. It's now moving off towards the east at 10 miles per hour, but we are expecting it to move a little bit more to the northeast later tonight and tomorrow. Take a look at that visible satellite. Look at that thing. Almost just perfect looking hurricane out there. Here is the forecast track, and this is really important because this takes us out through tomorrow at noon. You see it starting to come down. Like they've got it tonight at 185, getting a little bit stronger. And then 175 by tomorrow at noon. The key here is this east movement will turn to the north or the east-northeast. We want to see when that happens because that will give us a better idea. Once it starts making that turn, where will it end up here? It's moving to the east right now. It's not even moving northeast. And we're trying to figure out where it's going to make landfall when it moves northeast. And then you see this basically coming up here and then turning more to the right. There's a front coming down from the north and the west. It's going to pick this thing up and push it out. If that timing is slower, it may come further north. If that timing is quicker, it may come further south. So there's still a lot that has to be figured out here as far as the track goes. Bottom line, though, for intensity, you can see it is weaker at landfall, 125, 130 or so at landfall, which is just incredible storm. And then moving on shore, and you can see all this red here. That is all of that area under a hurricane warning. You got to go all the way over to Cape Canaveral until you get a hurricane watch, or tropical storm warning, really, and that's going to be or hurricane watch still, I should say that. But that's likely going to become a warning later this evening. So we expect it to be a hurricane all the way across Florida, even in the Daytona, although the winds obviously will be weaker over in the Daytona area. So now let's talk watches and warnings. You can see, as I mentioned, that most of our area is in it, but look all the way up to the north, up in the parts of South Carolina, they have tropical storm watch just for the flow on the north side of this. But of course, our area is that hurricane warning. This is a comparison between the GFS and the European, finally starting to agree a little bit. Some of the timing has pushed back. This is midnight, Wednesday night into Thursday. And the core just really kind of getting here at this point. You can see the European does go a little bit further to the east. What's happening is the storm itself will start to undergo some eye roll replacement cycles, and that starts to weaken it a little bit. But then you've got this blue here. This is wind shear, and there's also some dry air in there. So watch as this comes to the northeast. It kind of comes right into all of that wind shear and dry air. So that should help to knock it down just a little bit. And that's why that forecast number you see going from 165, 175 to down to 125 or 130, right? And then it'll get pushed out. Now back behind that, we will get some cooler and drier air. That's one little silver lining here. Now this is our forecast model here at the station. It's actually starting to get a little better handle on it. It too is a little bit later, and this is Wednesday at noon. Just starting to see some of the heavier outer band of rain getting here. And in fact, tropical storm force winds just kind of getting here around midday, late morning, midday on Wednesday. Now by 5 p.m. Wednesday, we're getting into the thick of it. Already have the tornado threat, especially on these outer bands. But you can see the core is back out to our west. Look at all this heavy rain that's to the north of the center, north and northeast of the center. That, especially where we'll get our best chance for rain, 10 to 15 inches of rain is possible. But this is 10 p.m. Wednesday. Here we go. Starting to get the winds really picking up out of the south and southeast for the Tampa area, for Sarasota, for most areas. And then there it is, 4 a.m. It moves right over top of St. Pete and Tampa. at 4 in the morning, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning on Thursday morning. Highest water will be up here as far as rainfall goes. Surge will be here and to the south. Right now, this is not good news for Tampa for surge, and I'll talk about that in a minute. By 9 a.m. Thursday, it's over Orlando or just south of there, and then conditions are improving in the Tampa area, and then you can see by 3 p.m. it's moving offshore out over the Atlantic. Now, let's talk the center of the storm. So this is the center line from the hurricane center, and I usually don't show you this line because you don't want to focus on it too much. It's going back and forth, but we're at the point now where this is what's going to make all the difference for surge. This is the latest run. We'll get another one of these at 11 o'clock tonight. If that comes down here, we will have less surge in Tampa Bay. As it stands right now in this area, we're thinking 10 to 15 foot of surge for Tampa Bay. We had 5 to 8 for Helene. 5 to 8 for Helene, 10 to 15 is possible for this. If it goes further to the north, up towards Hudson, that's a solid 10 to 15. It might even get a little bit more potentially in parts of the bay. Now, this is the latest forecast model, and what you're seeing here, that little thin line, this line right in here, that's the hurricane center. They think it's going to be here, and then they think it's going to be here. So this is their track. And then if you take that and you add the winds, you can see where it's trying to blow all the heavy surge here. I mean, AMI, this is bad for AMI, real bad. And then you can see up in Apollo Beach, all these areas in the Eastern Bay, up into Davis Islands, Harbor Island, up to the north as well. So here are some of the numbers from the Hurricane Center and National Weather Service. Down towards Marco, we're not looking at much. We're talking about 4 to 7, but that's a pretty good little surge for them. 6 to 10 in Fort Myers. That's going to cause issues in the Fort Myers area. That's not what they got in Ian, but it will still cause some flooding there. And then 10 to 15, Sarasota, Manatee counties especially, and into Tampa Bay, including Pinellas County beaches. Again, that area saw an average of about 7 foot of surge for Helene, and this would be an average of about, say, 12 foot. So that is incredible. The further north you go, we'll initially get a surge because the wind's just pushing a bulge of water this way. But eventually, when the storm gets closer and the winds pick up, those winds are going like this. So they will blow the water out. So we're going to go 5 to 10 initially for the Pasco County area. Here's the forecast model. So the highest winds are going to be right around the center, right in this area, right in here. Okay, so whoever's in that area will get the highest winds, and then that will slowly weaken, but slowly weaken as it moves on shore and heads towards Orlando. I'm thinking it's paralleling I-4, maybe just a little bit south. I think there's a little room for this to go maybe a bit south. But wind impacts, unlike Helene, right? Helene stayed offshore, so the highest winds actually stayed offshore. But that's not going to be the case. This one's going like this. So it's bringing those high winds. And so you can see why we have this area here with the highest impacts and a little less wind impact the further east you go, just because it's falling apart. Now let's talk rainfall. Rainfall will definitely have some inland flooding from this. Right now, though, you can see that yellow. That looks like Tampa northward, especially Pasco, Hernando, Citrus, with the heaviest rainfall. You know, places away from the center, like up in the Daytona, especially up towards Jacksonville, Volusia County area, they're going to get a ton of rain out of this. A tornado threat will be there as well. We're going to get a little bit of everything here in the Tampa Bay area. So let me leave you with this. We are basically looking at the impacts pushing back a little bit in time, back out towards, let's say, mid-afternoon on Wednesday through mid-afternoon on Thursday. That's going to be the core of this storm coming through. We have this hurricane force winds for most areas along the coast. That's 75 or above. And in fact, for the Tampa area, we're thinking about 80 to about 105, 110 mile per hour winds. That's a lot. That's going to put out a lot of power. It's going to put out a lot of trees. It's going to cause a lot of damage. And then that surge is 10 to 15 foot. Stay tuned to 10 Tampa Bay, guys. We'll keep you updated on all of this. We'll make it through here, but it's going to be a bumpy ride here, especially Wednesday and Thursday. Stay tuned, again, because there will be some subtle changes in the track. Did I show you the track? I don't know if I showed you the track. I did not. Here's the spaghetti plots. Let's leave you with that. And you can see where they pop up here that they have a chance to slide to the south. You see that? See where Tampa is? So I think this could get adjusted a little bit towards the south. That would be Better news for Tampa Bay concerning the surge, but that would not be good news for Manatee, especially Sarasota County and getting closer to Fort Myers. So we have to wait and see. We'll know a lot better the track as we get into tomorrow afternoon, especially because by that time it will have made that turn. Okay, guys, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll be back.